Welcome student. Today's the topic of teaching is the first chapter, and the name of the first chapter that you can see, the Mr. Mockingbird and his prize song. Mr. Mockingbird and his prize song. In the first part you have completed little portion of page number 2, and after that we are just continuing second para of this page number 2. You can see what is given here. A good old woodchuck was longing means here given here lying in a relaxed or lazy manner. So what is given? Who was lying in a lazy manner? The woodchuck. Because why he was lying like this? Because he was very lazy. He was good, but he was very old woodchuck, and he was longing by his doorstep. So where he was lying? He was longing means lying in a relaxed manner by his doorstep. Now next, what is his next activity? He was blinking at the sunlight and munching clover. So munching clover. Here you can see clover means a type of plant. Munching means chewing. So what was the old woodchuck? What was the old woodchuck was doing? He was lying. He was blinking his eyes in the sunlight, as well as he was chewing the plant, a type of plant, clover. There is nothing here for you, the woodchuck muttered. Muttered means talk continuously in a low voice. The woodchuck was talking in a low voice. What he was saying? There is nothing here for you. With his mouth full. Actually, his mouth was full of plant and he was chewing. And when the little squirrel came to him, he informed him that what is the use of your coming here? You should not come here. There is nothing here. There is nothing here for you. With his mouth full. You have come to the wrong house for the breakfast. Now, woodchuck was thinking that this squirrel has come for taking the breakfast. Therefore, the woodchuck was telling that this is your wrong destination. You should not come here for taking your breakfast. Then the squirrel is telling, no. The squirrel rushed means rushed to say means quickly say. The squirrel said quickly that no, you do not know my errand. Errand given, the word errand. So here errand means the purpose of a journey. So you don't know why I have come here. The reason for my coming you don't know. I have come to ask you why the mockingbird is so fond of mocking. Has he no song of his own? And why should he laugh at me? After that clarification, first of all, the little squirrel was thinking that other squirrel was mocking him. Later he come to know that it was none other than a mockingbird. Therefore, he was asking, or he was telling to the woodchuck that it is very useless for repeating his words. So did this bird not have its own words to sing? Why should he sing like this repeating manner and following the words of the little squirrel? Has he no song of his own? Why should he laugh at me? Actually, at the end of the song, the bird was laughing. That was very sentimental for this little squirrel. That's why he was telling, why should he laugh? And why should he sing his song? He should have his own song, na? The poor little squirrel, after that, the poor little squirrel was so full of anger as he spoke his mind that he puffed and bristled mightily. Mightily means with powerfully. Poor little, poor means here sad. The squirrel was sad, but he was full of anger. And when he was telling or clearing his mind, that time he was showing his anger and he was showing his power also. The fat woodchuck burst out laughing and seeing all this activity of the little squirrel full of anger and showing his energy and strength and complaining and all this. After listening to this, the old woodchuck was laughing. Why he was laughing, you come to know after some time. What is happened next? Let's see. So he made fun of you. Did he? Actually, this is tag question. Here the old woodchuck was telling that this bird was making fun with you. Did he do this like? Why? That is his business. But you must not mind the thing he says. Actually, that bird is the worshipped, or that bird was blessing bird, and it is the business of this bird. You should not think any inferior thing about this bird because it is his natural habit. He is really a very fine fellow. Actually, this old man, this old animal, woodchuck, knowing this mockingbird very well, and he told that this is his business only, and this bird was a very good fellow or very good person, Mr. Mockingbird, and everybody loves him in this area. All people, all the animals and birds loving him. This was the real nature of the mockingbird. Actually, the little squirrel did not know. What happened after that? Mr. Mockingbird, he began. Actually, what is given in this paragraph? It is a little information about the mockingbird. It is the little information about the mockingbird. Little information given here. Mr. Mockingbird, he began. Who began? Woodchuck. He is a great artist. So what is the quality of this mockingbird? He is a great artist, and that's why he can say what he thinks and do what he wants to do. And once in the long ago, he taught all the songs. He taught all the songs in the world to the birds. Actually, this is the real nature of a teacher. And who was the teacher? Mockingbird. Why? Because he was the excellent singer. That's why every bird came to him for taking the lesson of the singing. And Mr. Mockingbird, he was a very fine artist. That's why every bird was coming to him for taking the lesson of the song. And once in the long ago, very long time, he taught all the songs. Past tense of teach is taught all the songs in the world to the birds. That means he was the teacher of all the birds in this area. The woodchuck settled down under the sun. The woodchuck settled. Now, woodchuck was very lazy. That's why once again he sat down under the sun to tell a story. What was the story? We are going to listen. Let us see. It was a long time ago. The thrush and the robin and the catbird had a fight about their songs. So who had a fight? Three birds' name has been given. Three singing birds. One is thrush, next is robin, and other is catbird. These three birds fight among themselves for their singing. All the noisy blackbirds and the little wren also. Blackbird, another bird is given, and wren is another bird. Even the crows with their ugly notes. Note means here singing voices, and it's the crow's voice is very ugly, but the crow was also challenging. Actually, it was one type of concert going on, musical singing concert, And the blackbird was telling, I am greater. Rain is telling, I am greater. The crow is telling, I am greater in singing. Entered the discussion. Discussion was going on, and there was so much out of tune noise. So out of tune means nobody was singing fantastically or nicely. So means ugly tunes are coming from everyone. The fight lasted for many years. In this way, among these birds, the fight was going on. It is not for one day, 2 day, not for 1 week, but some years. And every bird thought it was the best singer in the world. So what was the thinking of every bird? Every bird was thinking that he or she is the best in this world, and tried to sing everything it had ever heard, and whether it was its own song or not. So every bird was trying its very hard to sing a song, whether it is its original song or taken the notes from others. So whatever may be, they started singing. Impossible, exclaimed the squirrel. Now all these things were looking like impossibilities for the squirrel. So the little squirrel who had come to the woodchuck for accusation, for complaining, this animal squirrel was thinking that it is not possible that all birds should sing and fight among themselves. It is not possible. Then after that, what is happened? Not at all. That's the way with singers the world over, until they were sharply taught where they belong. That is the way with singers the world over. Means all over the world, this is the condition of the singers, until they are sharply taught where they belong. And they should be taught or give the proper teaching where they belong to, or where they are living. Few people are content. Content means here satisfied with their own talents. My own family is the only modest and unassuming. Unassuming means here not drawing attention. Unassuming one that I know of. Actually, in this world, many talented people are there, and some talented people are satisfied with their talent. And what is happened? My own family is the only modest and unassuming one that I know of. We are content to dig and eat and sit in the sun. So this is the business. This is the business. It is telling here, business of rodents, digging and eating and sitting in the sun. We have never trained our voices and gone in for dancing. So actually what has happened? We rodents here, squirrels, have never been trained. Their voices are not like singers. And gone in for dancing. Very different from your family. Your young Mr. Squirrel, which is frivolous. Frivolous means carefree and noisy. What is very different from your family, young Mr. Squirrel? Very different from your family, young Mr. Squirrel, which is frivolous and noisy. Actually, squirrel, whatever you are thinking, your voice, your singing, actually it is not a singing, because you have taken no teaching. And your voice is not a voice, but it is a noise. And the only way to decide the business, next page. Restore order was to hold a meeting for all the birds, and with a few good judges of music to decide the question once for all. So what is decided here? To hold a meeting with good, some judges would be there to decide. Now what is happened? The adder means here adder means a type of snake. The adder being deaf, actually the quality of the snake was it cannot hear properly, was the chairman of the meeting. And the deafness they say is the prime requirement in a critic means those people are criticized. So deafness means when you are criticize somebody else, you should not listen to others, you should criticize. This is your logic only, for it allows him time to think. Actually, if you cannot hear, then you can take your own time for thinking. And the buzzard also was there to award the prizes. A peculiar choice, you might say, but he has a horrid way of putting things, and he wears a cutaway coat. Which type of coat the snake was wearing? Cutaway coat. Next paragraph. So the day came, and the woods and the orchards were full of birds, singing and calling and screaming and whistling. So when the day of the meeting or singing has come, at the time everywhere there was singing and calling and screaming and whistling. These sounds were coming from everywhere. Everybody was too much excited to think of eating, and every bush held a crowd of contestants, and it was orderly enough. And however, when the contest began, so it was the singing contest ultimately began, and the judge was the adder. And from the shouting and screaming everywhere, so there was going on the contest. In this way the contest was going on, and ultimately at the end final judgment will be done. It is on the favor of the mockingbird. We will read the next part shortly in my next video. You can see. Till then, goodbye to